Hello everybody, welcome to Pralines, Deliciousness from the World of Art. The protagonist of this episode is Gianfranco Notargiacomo, born in 1945 in Rome. His artistic apprenticeship grows alongside the necessity to understand the meaning of making art. For this reason, he takes a degree in aesthetics. One day, in the early years of the 60s, walking the streets in the center of Rome through the open windows of an apartment, Notargiacomo happens to see particular paintings. This episode leads him to know the Tartaruga Gallery of Plinio de Martis and Franz Klein's art. Soon, he makes acquaintance with the major exponents of the art panorama of the epoch, especially with Pino Pascali, who provides him with valuable advice, and Sandro Chia, who proves to be his ideal companion. His first performance takes place in 1969 at the Maracocha Gallery. The young Notargiacomo asks the stallholders at the Porta Portese market to move temporarily to the gallery space to sell gloves. Each time an item is sold, the artist puts his name tag on it. This performance certainly recalls that of Piero Manzoni, who signed the models and put his thumbprints on hard-boiled eggs. But whereas the Milanese artist brings into focus the sacrificial, almost mystical aspect, Notargiacomo calls attention to an evidently ironic detachment. As we know, Kierkegaard holds that the substance of irony lies in the individual freedom to make a new start at any moment without feeling bound up with the past. An adherent of this concept, Notargiacomo, through his career span, feels at liberty to experiment with diverse artistic media. Consequently, he can foresee the progression of artistic events. For instance, in 1971, his first solo exhibition at the Tartaruga Gallery features an installation of 200 colored plasticine lithomen set in different poses, but all directed towards the spectator. To get an insight into this event, it's worthwhile recalling that over that period, some prevailing ideas came into vogue. First of all, stands out the idea that one has to stop venerating artworks in order to promote a personal experience. Paintings, therefore, should get off the wall and should occupy the surrounding space. Next, there pervades an in-depth reflection on the body, on the pain, and on the death, which exerted a strong influence on many artists and found its most dramatic expression in the Viennese actionism. Notargiacomo's installation of lithomen perfectly fits into these two tenets, but with a poetical lightness that enchants everybody, including the reporter of the Herald Tribune. The art critics of that period also maintained that artists shouldn't have dedicated themselves to painting, an artistic language considered no longer actual. In effect, it is widely believed that art coincides with ideas. Therefore, the end product is considered of secondary importance. Notargiacomo, in 1974, in a series of portraits of the 20th century thinkers, apparently pays tribute to this mainstream. The traits are delicate, the visages are inexpressive, the operation is conceptual. But in the end, he executes paintings. This complete return to painting proves to be more radical by his approach to the concept of tacchete. According to a famous psychological experiment, there would be some words called tacchete that are associated with cutting and pointed forms, and other words called malumma that bring to our mind round and soft forms. Notargiacomo displays the idea of tacchete collocated in an aesthetic current originated from Marinetti, first in a series of colored metal sculptures, then in paintings. If the art of the 70s is dominated by a certain aspect of seriousness and of rigidity, Notargiacomo finds in the Sturm und Drang movement a historical consideration to his rediscovered enthusiasm. As a result, Notargiacomo's large-scale canvases entitled Tempest and Assault are filled with colors. His gesture in painting echoes art informel, but there is no trace of the informal informal climate in his work. The painter no longer confronts himself existentially with the canvas. This is clearly expressed in the series entitled Sea Fights, to which this splendid piece belongs. The viewer finds himself not in front of a war at sea, but a famous game of students. The following series further investigated into this painting mode, and perhaps his breakthrough work remains the one in which he extols Rome, an absolute city. On the Italian art scene, Notargiacomo can be considered as an extremely sensible connoisseur of the demands of the epoch. He does his best to satisfy them by mastering proper languages imbued with impressive farsightedness. I stop here. Thank you for listening. Don't miss the next episode of Pralines, Deliciousness from the World of Art.